The rain hammered against the windows, a relentless drum solo performed by the storm. Outside, the world was a blurred canvas of gray and green, lashed by wind that howled like a banshee. I huddled deeper into the sofa, a mug of chamomile tea clutched in my hands, trying to convince myself that the old oak in the front yard wouldn't finally give way tonight. But my real worry wasn't the tree or the power flickering, but Luna, my beautiful, sleek black cat, a shadow dweller by nature, but fiercely attached to her human. She loved the thrill of the wild during a storm, a habit I'd always found endearing, but terrifying. And tonight, she hadn't come back in. Hours passed, the storm raged, and my anxiety mounted with every gust of wind. I called her name until my voice was hoarse, peering out into the torrential downpour, my heart a leaden weight in my chest. Luna was more than a pet. She was a quiet confidant, a warm presence through lonely evenings, a purring balm for a weary soul. The thought of her out there, exposed to the fury of nature, was unbearable. As the first hints of dawn began to gray the sky and the storm finally began to recede, there was still no sign of her. The house felt empty, hollowed out by her absence. I prepared myself for the worst, for the silent, empty ache that would surely follow. Then, just as the sun broke through the clouds, painting the puddles with shattered rainbows, there she was, sitting patiently on the porch, as if she'd simply popped out for a morning stroll. My heart leaped with a mixture of overwhelming relief and a tiny, almost imperceptible prick of something else, something off. She looked perfectly fine, her fur as glossy black as ever, her green eyes bright. I rushed to scoop her up, burying my face in her familiar warmth, tears stinging my eyes. "Luna, oh Luna, you're safe," I whispered, squeezing her gently. She purred, a low rumble against my chest, but didn't need my shoulder or rub her head against my chin as she usually did. It was a purr, yes, but somehow detached. The first strange thing happened later that morning. I was getting ready for the day, and Luna, as always, hopped onto the bathroom counter to supervise my routine. I glanced at her in the mirror, smiling at her reflection, a soft black smudge against the tiled wall. But as my eyes focused, my smile faltered. There was no smudge. My own reflection stared back, hair askew, a mug of lukewarm coffee still clutched in my hand. And behind me, the countertop, the sink, the toothbrush holder, everything was there, perfectly mirrored. Everything except Luna. My breath hitched. I blinked, rubbed my eyes, even leaned closer to the glass. Nothing. Luna was perched right there, stretching leisurely, her green eyes fixed on my face. But in the mirror, it was as if she were made of thin air, a living ghost. My mind scrambled for a rational explanation. The light? The angle? But no, it was a perfectly clear, well-lit bathroom. I reached out a trembling hand, touching the glass, then touching Luna's soft fur. She was undeniably real, tangible beneath my fingers. But the mirror confirmed it. She cast no reflection. This unsettling discovery was quickly followed by another. Luna had always been a sun worshiper. Give her a patch of warm sunlight, and she'd stretch out, soaking up the rays, purring contentedly. But now, she actively avoided it. If a sunbeam pierced the window and landed on the carpet, Luna would skirt around it, choosing the shadows. She'd hide under furniture or squeeze into the darkest corners of the room, her eyes narrowed as if the light caused her physical pain. It was a complete reversal of her nature. I tried to tell myself she was just shaken from the storm, maybe had an eye injury I hadn't noticed, but the unease festered, growing into a cold dread. The final, most chilling incident came when I was cleaning the living room. I picked up a small silver crucifix, a gift from my grandmother, intending to dust it. As I did, Luna, who had been dozing on a nearby chair, suddenly bolted up. Her fur bristled, her back arched high, and a low, guttural hiss erupted from her throat. Her eyes, usually so gentle, were wide and wild, fixed on the crucifix with an intensity that made my blood run cold. She didn't hiss at other objects, only this, and later a small statue of the Virgin Mary I kept on the bookshelf. It was as if these symbols of faith repelled her, genuinely disturbed her. My heart pounded with a terrible certainty. This wasn't my Luna, not completely. The quiet purr, the lack of a reflection, the aversion to light, the hatred of sacred symbols, it was all too much. I knew deep down that something profoundly wrong had happened during that storm. This creature, purring in my lap, looking so much like my beloved cat, was not her, or at least not only her. The fear became unbearable. I couldn't sleep. Every shadow seemed to hold a lurking menace. One evening, after yet another terrifying hiss aimed at a picture of a saint, I made a decision born of sheer terror. I couldn't keep it in the house. My hands trembled as I scooped up the creature, its purr rumbling, deceptively comforting. I carried it to the back door, my heart pounding a frantic rhythm against my ribs. "I'm so sorry, Luna," I whispered, though I knew it wasn't Luna listening. I opened the door just enough to slip her out, then quickly, firmly shut and locked it. I leaned against the door, my breath ragged, tears streaming down my face. A profound sense of loss, sharper than when I thought she was truly gone, washed over me. I had lost her again, but this time it felt like a deliberate act of survival. And then it came. From the other side of the closed door, a small, plaintive sound. A meow. But it wasn't a cat's meow. It was my voice, soft and pleading, perfectly mimicking the sound I made when I called her name. Meow, it pleaded again, distinctly my voice, distorted, stretched, and terrifyingly, hopelessly trapped. The sound clawed at my sanity, chilling me to the bone. I stumbled backward, clutching my mouth to stifle a scream. The house was utterly silent, save for the frantic thumping of my own heart. I never opened that door again. I never saw the creature again. The silence that followed was heavy, pregnant with unanswered questions and a terror that lingers to this day. The experience left an indelible mark on me, a chilling reminder that some things, once lost, returned irreversibly changed. What came back from that storm wasn't just a cat. It was a reflection of something dark, something that shouldn't exist, something that wore the skin of my beloved Luna and tried to steal my voice along with her. It taught me that sometimes the greatest fear isn't in what vanishes, but in what returns. Have you ever encountered something in your life that defied all logic, that made you question the very fabric of reality, or experienced a loss that somehow felt like a twisted gain? I'd love to hear your thoughts, your own uncanny encounters, or simply your reflections on this story. Please share your comments below, and if you found this tale intriguing, consider subscribing or following for more stories from the strange and unexplained corners of our world. Thank you for listening.